Hello, I'm Thuli Magubane, and welcome to the Success Rate podcast, where we have deep conversations about success and people's journeys to success. And as our slogan says, there's nothing that is an overnight success. Today, we're joined by actor, voiceover extraordinaire, businessman, Mr. Tumisho Masha. You might have seen him growing up in many television programs. And he's here with us today to share a bit about his journey to success. And of course, share some of the challenges that he's had along the way. Hi, Tumisho.
Hi, Tumisho.
Welcome.
How you doing? You know, when you say you might have grown up watching me, you make me feel very old. But I've come to terms with it because I meet a lot of people who are like in their early 30s or late 20s, and they say, man, I used to watch you when I was a kid. I remember when I was 3 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Then it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm old.
No, we need to embrace age, and aging is a blessing. So Tumisho, I mean, a lot of people have seen you on TV, probably have known some of the successes that you've had, and never really gotten to know the man behind a lot of characters that people have seen. So maybe start us off. I mean, you grew up, some people would say, a privileged family. For those of you who don't know, Tumisho's mother is actually a medical doctor.
That's right.
And his father was someone who was quite successful in his own right. So success is nothing new to
definitely.
you. So growing up, how did your parents' success, so to say, influence you when you were choosing what career to follow?
I think my parents' success made it possible for me to believe that anything is possible, right? It also demystified this idea of success, because I would say I had a rich dad, poor dad experience. My poor dad was my uncle, who I grew up in his house for about 6 years while my mother was at medical school. She had to go off to Fort Hare. My parents got separated because of that, in terms of just the physical separation of them living in two different provinces. And here's this little boy that they have, and my dad, cannot be a single dad because he has to go to work every day and he needed support. So I went to live with my cousins. I live with my aunt and uncle. And I found that it was a very dysfunctional family, and they definitely had a very real poverty mentality. There'd be talks of, oh, we don't do this or we can't do that. That's only for rich people. Who do these rich people think they are? Life is so easy for them. They just get things handed on a silver platter. Whereas with my parents, even though, we certainly weren't rich, especially at that point, I mean, I think we were pretty much very poor. Their mindset was, success is never handed to you on a silver platter. It's something that you have to work for, and you have to find something that you're good at and go for that, And I saw them grow and be patient and use their money to invest in themselves, because my mom was put through med school by my father, who had put himself through school by working. He put himself through school. He'd put himself through university. He'd put his siblings through university, and he tried so hard to get them out of the poverty. And that taught me that anyone can be successful. You just have to be willing to put in the work and have the right mindset.
Okay. So when did you discover that you had a talent for theater? And was it, or the arts, I should say?
Yeah.
And was it difficult to convince your parents that that's the route you want to follow?
Not at all, funny enough. Maybe when they thought I was really serious about it. They're like, oh, we thought you were just playing. But from a very early age, they knew that I was very artistic. They knew that I was a born performer. I mean, they'd say things like, from the time you were 3 years old and you could recite a poem from creche, we'd be pushing you in the trolley at the Checkers or the Pick and Pay, and you'd stop people and literally be like, I want to recite something for you,
So you were the entertainment in the family.
I was entertainment, definitely. And then I was very fortunate that my parents had the foresight to say, we're going to take this boy out of the school in the township, and take him out of this Bantu education. And my parents then decided, let's spend the money and take him to private school. Also because in those days, there was no other alternative for Black children. It was either private school or you go to Bantu education in the township, because there were no Model C schools. So within the first year that I got there, although I couldn't speak English when I first got there and I was the only Black kid in the class, by the end of that year, I was the star in the play. that we were doing for our grade. And that's when it hit them. Hey, you know what? Maybe this guy has got something going. I mean, I knew from when I was about 4 that this is what I wanted to do. But it was convincing them after I left matric, this is what I wanted to do. That was a bit difficult.
So going back to that experience, finding yourself as the only Black child in your class, what did you learn from that experience?
I learned that adversity can be a blessing. So I learned to come out of my shell, to be good at socializing. You can put me anywhere in the world and I will find my niche. I will find my people. I will be able to navigate my way around there, because I was literally a fish out of water. I couldn't speak English. I couldn't even communicate with these people. I'm the only Black child in the class. I felt all types of insecure and whatever, but I had to get out of it. And I had to learn that at a very early age. And because my parents were not going to come and rescue me, I had to learn to rescue myself. So I think that it's important to sometimes put your kids through uncomfortable situations so that they can grow from them. And even yourself, as a grown-up, don't be afraid of trying new things. Don't be afraid of being in uncomfortable situations. And certainly don't be afraid of failure, because the things that we see as failure, the things that we see as uncomfortable and difficult and inconvenient are usually the best things for us.
Us as Black people, we have this thing that if people can't speak English fluently, we tend to look at them as if they're not as smart.
Yes,
true. Or they're somehow less than.
Yeah.
So I guess you were still young at that stage, and probably children don't have such, issues and stuff.
Yeah.
But was there a point during that time when you were learning to speak English and, and try and get into this environment and be comfortable? Was there a time where you felt less than?
Oh, of course. I mean, look, we're talking about South Africa in the 1980s. There was, first of all, I'm less than because I'm Black. I'm less than because all the kids that I go to school with, their parents are CEOs and captains of industry. When we go to someone's birthday party, they have horses and a farm. What I learned was anything in life is usually a learned skill. So I always say to my daughter, it doesn't matter how much talent you have, because even if you don't have a lot of talent, someone who's got more talent than you can get better than them in what you're doing because of how hard you work and the effort you put in. If you do have talent at something and you don't apply yourself to it, it doesn't even matter that you have talent, because you won't get very good at it. So what that taught me was, by the time I was in standard 1, which is a year later, I was a better reader than all the white kids,
Because you put in the hours.
I put in the hours. My parents were very serious about my homework and things like that. But I also loved reading. So I found that by the time we got to standard 1, I could read their English books better than they could read their English books. By the time we finished high school, I was better at English in terms of grammar, spelling, and speaking it than they were.
So Tumisho, to you, what is success? What's your definition of success?
I think for me, and what I've learned as I got older, is that success is balance. To be really successful, you have to ask yourself, have I got enough financially? And you also, I think when it comes to finances and how much you want to make in life, before you make all that money, have a figure in your head. And once you reach that figure, I think you don't have to keep going. Whatever you make over and above that, try and give away as much of that as you can, right? I think we live in a world where we've become so materialistic and consumerist that we can never have enough. We have people who become billionaires and they still feel like they're broke. And it's only because they see someone else having more wealth than them. There'll always be someone with more than you. But you must decide for yourself, what is enough for you to make you feel like you're financially happy and secure? And then secondly, when I speak about balance, I mean, what did it cost you to get there? If it's cost you your family, your sanity, your health, any of those things, or all of those things, it's too costly. It's never worth it. So for me, a successful person is someone who literally has it all. They have the financial stability and the financial wealth, and they have the social and family wealth. They have the health wealth, and they're still fit, and they're still out there doing their thing, and their mental health is also good.
And in your industry, the arts there's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
So how have you dealt with rejection and remained safe?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I think that being in the arts has been the best thing for me in terms of dealing with rejection. I think I found it very difficult as a young person to deal with rejection, specifically when I started. But I'm also very tenacious. I'm like a dog with a bone when I want something. So I remember my first year of trying to get into the industry. I literally went to almost 100 auditions and I got 100 no's. But I got to a point where I was like, there's only so many no's I can get. If I just keep pushing, I'm get the yes. And I only need one yes. And that's the thing that I'll say to anybody who faces rejection, whatever they do. You only need one yes. Being told when I started out, I was wrong for every part, right?
You either too tall.
Right? I'm too tall. I'm too short. But yesterday I was too tall. I'm too light-skinned. I'm too dark-skinned. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. And then there was a period where I felt very insecure about myself. I was like, I'll never make it. I don't have the right look for being an actor. And funny enough, when I made it, it suddenly became like I have the perfect look. I think dealing with a lot of mental health issues is how you feel about yourself is more important than how anyone else feels about you. Yeah. Because if you don't come to grips with who you are and come to grips with the fact that you're perfectly and wonderfully made, and that, God has great plans for you. And I even say, have a firm foundation in something that's greater than yourself. Then you're going to suffer when it comes to mental health.
Yeah. And who was really instrumental in your journey to success? I mean, I think in everyone's story, there are certain people you can pinpoint that so-and-so gave me a break. And because of that particular break, I managed to, to continue to climb. So who are those people in your life?
I always say my parents, because no one else gave me a bigger break than they did. Honestly, Thuli, I mean, from an early age, I remember being I think 7, 8 years old. And they realized I love reading, right? Mm. So they got me a set. At the time, you'd buy these books. They were called storytellers, and they'd come with a little cassette tape.
So you could listen
and read.
Yes.
And my dad every week would like religiously buy me the stuff because he knew I loved it so much. They put me through piano lessons. They invested in every aspect of my life that I needed to be where I am today. Whatever I wanted to try. I mean, I remember when I was 18 and they sent me to the UK to do A-levels with their money because they were so invested in my success. And I think that's the gift that any parent can give their child. It's not about the toys. I don't remember the toys they bought me or they didn't buy me. And a lot of the times they'd be like, no, we don't have money for toys. But if I asked for something that would help me in my development, they would find the money for it. I remember when I wanted to be a musician and I was like, I need this Roland Casio. It was a keyboard.
Yes, Roland Casio.
There was a Casio, but the Roland was like that was a professional one.
The flagship one.
Yeah, the one that you could now program beats on and stuff. In the early 90s, I wanted to be like in a boy band. Myself and Shomla had these aspirations. So we used my Roland keyboard, to program songs and things like that. And it was really expensive. And they were like, we'll buy it for you. Because as long as it's for your personal development and becoming the best version of yourself, we'll make that happen.
So who have you plugged? Because, success is not only just remaining at the top. And people always say you need to lower the ladder so that other people can come up. So who have been some of those young people that maybe you've mentored or you've given a break to?
Yeah, I've mentored a couple of people. My favorite story that I like to tell is a young man who came to me when he was very young. He came out of high school and his family didn't have any money to put him through varsity. He was my then wife's cousin. So I said, no, he must come up to Joburg and I'll just mentor him. At the time, I was still on Isitingo. And I gave him a job as my personal assistant. So for a year, all he did was follow me around and just give me my scripts, which doesn't seem like much. But the purpose of what I was trying to do with him was, one, he spends time with me as an older man. He sees what I do at work, what it takes for me to do what I do. So he sees that this thing, being successful, being a celebrity, is not just me waking up at 10 in the morning and then getting a massage and then, working for an hour. He sees that I have to be there on set at 6 a.m. every day. I have to come to work knowing my lines, which means the night before I had to have studied them. He understands that when I get to set and when I get to work, there is no celebrity. This is a work environment. I don't have airs and graces. I can't be a diva. I can't be telling people what to do. When they say we need you on set, get up, get on set. So he realized that what it takes to be successful is a process of work and how you also deal with people. Are you someone that's likable? Are you a team player? That sort of thing. I left him there when I left Isidingo and went to Top Billing. And within a couple of years, he became a director because he went from just my assistant to being a floor manager to being a director. And now he directs movies, he directs television, he does Netflix shows, all sorts of things. And for me, that's like, I'm so proud of him because yes, I gave him the opportunity to be on set with me, but he applied himself. He's the one who had a good attitude. He's the one who learned how to work hard and keep his eyes open and be humble and work through the system. And now he's made something of his life.
So maybe people don't know there's another side of you that, you've worked in business. You've done something with your brother. So my question is, people knew you as an actor. Did they take you seriously in the boardroom?
I find that being a successful actor gets you in the room easier than most people. So that's one advantage that you have. But sometimes when you're in the room, I think people cannot switch off from this is Dumisani to, okay, this is a great pitch. But what it's also taught me is that you cannot rely on anyone else for your own success. So this idea that I need someone else or I need someone to give me a yes to be successful, it comes from whatever reason. If I'm in a boardroom, someone might go, I don't even like this guy. Or my wife thinks he's so amazing and I'm going to show him who I am and not give him this gig. It has taught me that start doing things, maybe sometimes with your own money, invest in yourself. So the best success I've had as a film producer in the past couple of years has come from literally me taking the money that I've earned as an actor, a voice artist, and putting it into my films. And now I've got a feature film on Amazon Prime. I've got another one coming out that we've just shot recently, and I'm developing more films. So finally, I'm getting the traction that I want, and I didn't need anyone's yes. I gave myself a yes.
And so, what's your advice to people in terms of really taking the plunge and really investing in yourself and believing in yourself?
So I would say this to people. South African young entrepreneurs spend too much time looking for funding and not developing their businesses and not developing themselves. So I always say, I'm very biblical about how I work. When God went to people and was about to elevate them, they always, like, you look at the story of Moses, God speaks to Moses from a burning bush and he says, go and free your people. And Moses says, but I don't have anything to free. And God says, what's in your hand? And he was like, I've got the staff. And I always say, what's in your hand? Right? When the disciples came to Jesus and said, how are we going to feed these people? It's going to take a year's worth of wages. Jesus just said, what's in your hand? And a little boy came with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and he multiplied them. So a lot of the times we think that we have very little in our hands, but what we have in our hands is more than enough, because it doesn't take actually that much to start anything. It literally just costs 5,000 rands to get someone from China to make you a prototype, right? That's not a lot of money. You want to start a cosmetics business? It literally takes about 10,000 rands for someone to mix the stuff for you. So a lot of the times we're going, I need to go to the NYDA because I'm a youth. I need to go to the NEF. I need to go to the IDC. I need $1 million. Oh, these other Black entrepreneurs are not putting money into my thing because I went to Thuli, who works at this big corporation, and I asked him for money for social development, and she said no, so now I'm not going to do anything. You work, right? And I always say, don't give up your day job until your business can pay you double what your day job is doing. We live in a country where people think, I just do one job. So either I'm in corporate and that's what I do, or I'm an entrepreneur and that's what I do. You know, the person who owned Boardmans for the longest time was the CEO of Nedbank at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
So usually I say to entrepreneurs, why are you quitting your job because you want to open a business? Just use the money you're earning at this job to open your business. And when your business is doing that well, that is paying you double what this job is paying you, then you quit, but not before.
Yes, yeah. So we tend to be comfortable in our own little corners.
Yeah.
And people want to be the big fish in a small pond.
Right? It feels good.
Yes. So now if you go out into maybe now the river,
Yeah.
you're no longer in a pond. So for you going global, was it difficult? Was it through an agent? How did you manage to make the transition?
Definitely through an agent. So, you know, I think what people don't realize is, number one, you got to study at what you do, right? So for me, I didn't come into this world of entertainment and acting by just waking up one day and deciding this is what I wanted to do. I went through my paces, or throughout school, I was doing plays. By the time I finished my A-levels, which were in law, accounting, and economics, I came back home. I worked at IBM for a while, corporate. And then from there, I went and studied drama. I had got a BA honors in drama. So by the time I graduated, I could then get a professional agent. Because you have a professional agent, the briefs, which is what we get to go to a casting, are sent only to those agents. We don't just all pitch out.
And it's a select few.
Select. They say, yeah, we'll look at so-and-so. We'll see what they got. And I remember my first international job was when I was just in my 4th year at drama school. It was a Canadian film. I think that was set in Kenya. And then from there, it just happened, you know. One of the big ones I did was working with Angelina Jolie back in the day, but I've been doing these for a while now.
And regrets? Do you have any regrets in terms of your career?
No, I have no regrets at all. I've done everything that I ever wanted to do. I think maybe the only regret that I could have was just getting switched on a little sooner about using the work that I do and the money that I earn there to invest in myself, rather than trying to chase this magical rainbow of funding and blah, blah, blah. If I had done that a lot sooner, I'd probably be a little bit further as a film producer.
Okay. And then in life, do you have regrets?
No, I've lived such a full life. I've done everything I ever wanted to do. I've made the biggest mistakes, and I've learned from them. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change a single thing.
I like that. I wouldn't change a single thing. And so what are you imparting to your young daughter in terms of developing her and making sure that she's on the right path to be a successful young lady in whatever field she chooses to follow one day?
Well, the first thing I'm doing is investing in her education. I'm putting her in the best schools I can afford. I'm making sure that she's got a wide array of extramurals. She's playing piano, she's learning guitar, she's playing tennis, she's doing boxing, she's doing ice skating.
Yeah, seems like you guys are more managers than anything else.
I'm not saying she's great at all of them, but at least she's getting her to try. Then I do a lot of reading with her. We sit down and we read. I want her to be a very good reader because I've realized what reading has done for me. My work is just reading. I'm a voice artist. I listen to myself on radio and I'm like, guys, literally all I do is I walk in, I get a script and I read it and I walk out. You know what I mean? So who would have thought that reading could make me so well off? So I'm pushing her to read because even if she doesn't become a voice artist, you know, what you become is because you had to study it. That comes from reading. And you got to demystify the idea of reading to get to a point where you can pick up any book and you can read it.
So which book was impactful and, you know, really changed your mindset around something or even just your worldview in any way?
The Alchemist. That's right. The Alchemist. That for me was a book that it made me realize that everything that you're ever looking for is usually right in front of you. And you are in the best place you need to be right now.
And what about the what if syndrome? Have you suffered from that?
Oh, of course. I think we all do.
And then has it ever stopped you from doing what you want to do?
No, never. My dad says that I'm impulsive. My wife would probably agree. So I never worry too much. I just go I believe in make a decision fast and then follow through. And then see where it takes you. If it was a bad decision, well, at least you did something. At least you know. But usually it's usually a good decision.
And then what about only when? I think a lot of people suffer from that. Like, I'll be happy when something happens, or, I will only do this when this happens.
So I remember speaking to this gentleman that was a great acquaintance of mine, billionaire, and I asked him, like, how do you decide, like, when to start something, when to build this, when to do that? And he said, there'll never be a time that is perfect for you to start something. You've just got to decide that this is when to do it.
Just do it,
and the Bible even says so, that if you wait for a perfect rain or perfect season to start planting, you'll never get a harvest. So you don't have to wait for conditions to be perfect. Just start. Some men will say, I'll only get married when I only have this amount of money. No, it doesn't matter. Just do it.
Well, people marry guys who don't have money too.
Yeah, and then they end up having a lot of money. I think marriage, I'll tell you one trick, and this is why I keep getting married.
Okay, let's hear it.
Marriage is a great incubator for success.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that even if you do it wrong, man, if you're with the wrong partner, it just kind of focuses you, in terms of working towards something that's greater than yourself. And I would always recommend anybody, especially men, who are like, I'm just too busy and I'm trying to be a success first. Get married, dude.
You'll be more successful.
You'll be more successful. Have a great woman by your side. And a great woman will help you spend your money better because she won't let you waste it.
All right. As we wrap up, Tumisho, any parting shots for our audience in terms of success and really pursuing whatever their dreams are?
Well, I mean, this show is about success. And what I'd like to say to anyone who's listening or who's watching is that success is what you decide it is. Define your own success, because if you don't, no matter how successful anyone thinks you are, you will not be successful in your heart. And I find that it's very sad, and a lot of people are dying from it, like literally committing suicide, having heart attacks, having health issues, because they're living these lives where we think of them as super successful, especially financially. But in their hearts, they're not, because in their hearts, they're still going, I want to be successful like so-and-so. And I'm not successful yet. Define your own success and go for that. And then the next level of success after you've got it all is help somebody that will never give you anything in return, right? Never help people because you're thinking one day they'll give me something in return. That is the most satisfying thing you can do, because it's a very selfish act. It's really just about you helping you when you help somebody else who can never give you what you're giving them back. Yeah, and it really defines your success. It makes you, I think makes you feel more successful than all the money in the world.
Wow, I like that. Than all the money in the world. Well, money always, as they say, makes the world go round. So
it does.
We definitely need that.
The Bible says money solves many problems.
True. And I think we should also correct that. Doesn't say that money is the root of all evil.
No, it doesn't. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think we should. And as Black people, I would like us to stop seeing money as this bad thing. I would like us to stop seeing success as this bad thing that, successful people don't give back. Successful people owe it to me. Successful people can never be happy. They can never be in good relationships with their family. There's always family feuds when someone passes. No, successful people are living fantastic lives, and you owe it to yourself to be successful and help your family get out of poverty. Successful people are honest people. A lot of Black successful people worked hard and got it that way. A lot of them didn't just get free shares in some BEE scheme because they're politically
or the connections,
connected.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of them didn't just become tenderpreneurs and get government tenders. A lot of Black people who are successful did it the old-fashioned hard way, and we need to show respect. And why we're doing that is because if you show that kind of respect for someone else's success, it will naturally come to you, because you will then want it for yourself. We need to stop looking at each other's success as if it's owed, like you got it for free.
True. Want to thank you very much, Tumisho, for joining us. It's really been a pleasure hearing your story. There's a lot of food for thought there, and encouraging our audience.
Don't forget to like
and comment as well. If you've really enjoyed our conversation, make sure that you subscribe, and make sure you also click on the notification button so that you know whenever we post and you don't miss an episode.